Hungry dogs run fast.
What is going on, everyone?
What's going
Welcome into my dog's favorite podcast, the Dynasty Dogs, brought to you by the Fantasy Football Universe. I am your host for this evening, Michael Anthony. With me, back in the doghouse, after he spent his life savings down in Atlantic City, the man at 33 years old who still cannot bait his fishing hook. 32. The man still cannot bait his
fucking 32.
Whatever. Rich, how are you tonight?
Good, man. That was a good one. I liked it. I like that you're coming up with all these new lingos and giving away nuances about myself, which is ironic because I was talking to someone today about how I like to go fishing, but hate to touch fucking worms. I'm like, dude, I think I just like the action of just going like this and just like said, I'm like, all right, dude, fucking get it off.
Will not touch the worms or anything like that.
Nah,
will not take the fish off the hook.
If I had pliers.
Like, come on, man.
Oh, dude, because they stab me all the time. Like when it's like a bad move for me. Every time you catch a bass, it's
you gotta push the fins down on the back, and you'll be all right. Come on now.
All right, Steve Irwin, dude.
Wow, look how that turned out.
Yeah, really.
So for tonight, we're first going to go over our That Bite segment, which is our news and notes segment. We'll be doing that here shortly. We will get Rich's thoughts on Travis Hunter. We did not get to get his insight on Hunter last week, and I know this is somebody that he was very excited to talk about. Then we are going to go over 3 buys and 3 sells each pre-NFL draft edition, because obviously when the draft hits, a lot of things are going to change. And then a jam-packed episode, by the way, if you can't tell. We are going to be going over 2 player profiles on 2 tight ends from this class, in Elijah Arroyo and Terrence Ferguson. Rich, before we get into this, how was your trip to Atlantic City?
It was fun. If you like to lose, it was fantastic. No, it was good. I'm not good at gambling on March Madness anyway. But I'm also not good at sitting bets out. So I'm like, oh man, I don't want to miss out. I'm like, yeah, I'll do it. And then there goes my parlay. Like 25 minutes later, I'm just like, whatever, dude.
Oh, you were betting live on parlays?
Yeah, I was trying to cook something up and didn't work out too well.
All right, well,
I didn't win a single one.
Well, hopefully some of your buys and sells are better than your bets here, because obviously you're betting on them.
You know what? No, they're not, because they were made before the Mr. Unlimited decided to make his way. So we won't give it away, but we'll preface that.
Well, that will go right into our That Bite segment here, Richard. And there is the graphic for that made by our good friend S.C. Romero. I love it. I know.
I do too, but you just love telling people that there's a graphic there as if they don't see it popping up.
Well, part of the reason I got to say it is because I won't remember to hit the button. I'm not good at keeping track of what's going on.
If anyone doesn't notice, there's a dog right here. That's a graphic right there. If you see it, it's floating in between us.
All right. So the first portion of the That Bite segment that we alluded to is that Russell Wilson signs with the New York Football Giants a 1-year, $10 million deal, which is...
Back it up. Who signed before, man?
Well,
that was the whole...
If you let me get through the fucking spiel first, I was getting to that. Because a week ago, they
signed... You're going to work backwards?
They signed Jameis. Well, because you missed last week, we talked about Jameis. So, anywho... Jameis signed a 2-year, $8 million deal last week. So, Richard, who is going to be the starting quarterback for the New York Football Giants? Because it also seems like they're out of the running for a rookie at this point as well.
Well, yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. Number one, I was pumped when Jameis signed there. I'm like, okay, I got Malik Neighbors on my team. I just picked up another guy that was in my buys. I'm like, all right, I'm looking nice. He's going to throw the ball 9,000 times. They're going to get over 1,000 targets the freaking year. And then here comes Mr. Unlimited with a pin and just burst the bubble because that dope's going to start. You know that's going to happen.
I mean,
He's
he essentially made $6 million more than Jameis did on a
yeah.
a 1 year deal as opposed to Jameis's 2 years. It's $8 million, but it's 4 split between 2 years. So if you're not good at math, there it is for you. I was super excited for Jameis to be the starting quarterback
So was I, dude.
this year. Even if Jameis would have been the starter and they drafted a quarterback like Shador at 3 or waited later to draft like a Milroe, somebody to sit behind Jameis and just learn how to let it rip and maybe learn not to throw turnovers. Right. I was super excited for that. And now Russ comes in and now I don't know really what to do because I was excited about Russ in Pittsburgh with George Pickens, and that seemed like it was going okay at some point, and then he turned into a pumpkin again. So I'm kind of confused as to what the Giants are doing. They don't have a competing team, so
Yeah.
Why not only give one of those dudes the money and then bring a rookie in, and then even if it's a later pick like Milroe, you have a 2027 or 2026 draft pick in mind. I don't know, man. I don't love this move for either quarterback.
You seem genuinely distraught by this. I am kind of confused. I guess this means to me, obviously, that Shador is not their guy. They obviously did not fall in love with whatever they seen, and I think it's pretty apparent that they're going to take Travis Hunter.
Oh, that would be fun,
Unfortunately,
wouldn't it?
I mean, but like you were alluding to, they don't have a competing team, and this seems a lot like years ago when they had Odell and they had Saquon. They're grabbing all the shiny toys, but what do they really have under center? Is it worth it to kick the can down the road? I haven't looked too far into next year's quarterbacks that are coming out, but are they better than a possible Shador? Or I mean, this may be crazy. I think Jackson Dart is better than Shador. But are they better than them?
Close.
Are they better than them two guys?
Uh,
Is it worth it to kick the can and then maybe possibly have a 500 team and have a worse draft pick?
Yeah. So Nussmeier next year, Lenore Sellers next year, Arch Manning. I don't think comes out next year because he hasn't really
No,
been able
he
to
doesn't have
play all
enough
that
seasoning.
much. Yeah.
Mhm.
So I mean, it could be a pretty good Drew Allard could be a pretty good draft class overall for the quarterback position. Either of these two quarterbacks, you're willing to maybe take a cheap flyer on in dynasty purposes? Are you gonna if you were to take
which
a
one?
cheap flyer on either one and see, hope maybe one gets a starting job, if you need a quarterback, maybe like a third, fourth option, just break in case of emergency type quarterback play, are you taking a gamble on either one of these two guys?
A gamble on what, Shador or Dart?
No, Jameis
On
or
Wilson and if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Russell Wilson. I think Russell Wilson's going to start, and if he at least start most of the year, so I think you would get more out of having Russ on your team than having Jameis, just because I think he's going to see the field more.
yeah. So I agree with you, but I think I'm going to go with the cheaper option and probably the more
Sure.
exciting option in Jameis Winston. He's probably like a third right now, maybe in
Mm,
the back end third at this point, because people are going to be confused as to what to do with this roster, with Wilson and him. But, they're playing super flex while everybody else is playing one
sure.
QB. And I don't know what they're doing. But, if Jameis plays, he's got the higher upside out of the two of them, especially from the pass catcher aspect. And, he's going to put up maybe 15 to 18 points or maybe 30 if he decides not to turn the football over. So I would go with the higher upside with the cheaper option in Winston if I had to. I wouldn't say go out and do this, but if you want to inquire and you can get Winston for like a mid to late third and kind of just play the, let's see what happens kind of game where you're a competing team and, he ends up winning the starting job. And now that third has turned into a mid second because now he's valuable. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
you could also, taking a bet like we just talked about going
Wide lose.
Quarterback news here. The Vikings have not told J.J. McCarthy that he's the current QB1. are you concerned about this? And do you think this is partly because of Aaron Rodgers, the looming Aaron Rodgers deal wherever he goes?
Oh my god, I just wanna be done talking about Aaron Rodgers
So am
so
I. So
bad.
do I. Yeah.
Like, he's such a goblin. Like, he just comes in and just destroys everything everywhere he goes. It's like, why would he even be a talk? You know what I mean? You drafted the guy, play him. He got hurt. He was gonna play allegedly last year. Just play him. And if if you live in Minnesota and you're part of that front office and you own a computer, just look up and Google what he did to the New York Jets and how he decimated the New York Jets. Do you want that coming into your team? I
Yeah.
mean, I personally, I wouldn't. You know what I mean?
Do you think it also maybe has to be, they're a little concerned about his current health, with the ACL tear for JJ, that they haven't said he's the QB1? Like, for me, when they didn't sign Sam Darnold back for any kind of money, it kind of gave me the
Mhm.
inclination that JJ was their guy, and then Aaron Rodgers has
Yeah.
been looming around. I really don't think it happens, but like, it makes me nervous when he says that. Like, it's like, oh shit, you know what I mean? Do
Yeah.
they make that possibility?
I mean, either way, I think it would only be a 1-year deal, but like 1 year, $20 million? Really? Like, I don't think it's worth
No,
the
he can't
time
be. He can't be worth that
or
much
the effort.
anymore.
I I don't know. I think he might get like 21. Um, but he's not gonna teach JJ McCarthy anything. He's a fucking dickhead. Like, he's not going to teach him anything. So, like, what are you really bringing him in for?
Yeah. Listen, I don't think it's a good move either. I think this is a
Mm-mm.
young football team. Like, it's a good football team, and I think JJ McCarthy, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of his film, to be honest with you guys,
Mhm.
but he fell into the perfect system, and we just saw what Sam Darnold did with that football team. Took them to the playoffs. Like, I don't think anybody thought in their wildest imagination that the Minnesota Vikings would be a playoff football team with Sam
Or win
Darnold.
that many games, really,
Yeah,
either. I didn't
exactly.
expect him to have that big.
So it's like you have Kevin O'Connell as the head football coach. You have Justin Jefferson as a wide receiver, the best wide receiver in football. Jordan Addison, probably close to being one of the best wide receiver twos. Not just because Justin Jefferson's so damn good, he's pretty close to being the
Mhm.
best wide receiver too, if that makes sense. You got
Sure.
TJ Hawkinson coming back second year off the ACL, and then you got Aaron Jones, Jordan Mason in the backfield. It's a good football team, man. So I think
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy, like, they need to roll with him and see what they have. And like I said, you couldn't have a better situation for him in Minnesota currently, especially with Kevin O'Connell. Last bit of real news that I have here. And this one kind of surprised me. Speaking of a player coming off an ACL tear, Stephon Diggs, 3 years up to, which I didn't see originally, up to $69 million, giggity.
Nice.
I think, I don't know if you saw my meme where it was like, we couldn't get T. Higgins. We
Mm.
couldn't get DK Metcalf. We signed
I sure
Stephon
did.
Diggs to $69 million. Like, I think they kind of were just like, we need to bring somebody in, right? We need to bring in a veteran wide receiver who does have some elite upside. I just don't know if I'm giving him up to $69 million at this point in his career, to be honest with you.
Well, I mean, in my opinion, he was on pace again for would have been a 7th, season in a row with over 1,000 yards before the ACL tear. He is 31, so that's a downside, but I don't think like, I was talking to some people, and they think he's washed, and I'm like, "I don't understand where the wash part's coming from."
Well, it's
Like,
31 coming off an ACL
he
tear. Like, you don't recover as well as
sure.
you do when you're
Oh,
24.
I mean, we don't know. I mean, now this is the I think it's premature to say he's washed just because we don't know. He could come back and have a 1,000-yard season, or if he comes out and looks like shit, and I'm like, yeah, he's washed. But like prior to this year, he had 6 straight years with over 1,000 yards. You know what I mean? His 30-year-old season, his 29-year-old season. You know what I mean?
You're
So
talking about
I
him with
think it's a
Josh
little
Allen, though. You're talking about him being I
sure.
love Drake May, but like you're getting a dude who's now 31, like you mentioned, coming off the ACL. It's like it's almost a recipe for disaster, especially with a head case like Stephon Diggs. Like, I think
It
that's
could be
pretty
bad.
common. It could be really bad for a young wide receiver core. I thought they were going to be the Travis Hunter landing spot, to be honest with you.
Yeah, that would have been where are they? What pick are
They're fifth.
they? Okay,
That
no,
would
they're
have been the
4th.
best landing spot because, one, he wouldn't have to play the
Well,
cornerback one position because they have Christian Gonzalez. So he could
they're
have been the stud wide receiver in that room.
Yeah, they're 4 and Jacksonville's 5.
Oh, so they're 4. I mean, even better. They
Yeah.
have even a better
Yeah,
shot.
but I mean, I don't think he gets past, like we just said. I don't think he gets past New York, unfortunately. But I don't know. It could be kind of like a boomer bust type deal, um, with um, Diggs in New England. I think it could be good, or like you said, it could be time to hang him up.
Why do you think he's not washed? Just because of what you've seen these past few years?
Just because previous history.
All right, let me see
You know what
what
I mean?
his
And like,
actual value is currently. I'm going to look that up real quick while we break this down. I think he's probably at this point, now that he's with the Patriots, being, they're alleged at this point, wide receiver 1. I would imagine he's somewhere
probably,
worth like a mid to late second. And to be honest with you, I would take a gamble
you're
on
not.
selling him for that.
Yeah, you're not.
Would
Okay.
you?
Yeah, I mean, why not? See, I mean, the draft's deep, but I don't know. I'm torn. I've
All
always
right.
liked Diggs, so it's like I think, but it's like kind of like like you're right. If it's if he does turn out to be washed, that second or third or second, what did you say?
Like a
Late
late
second,
second. Yeah.
mid to late second can turn. It's going to turn into nothing. So it's like, do you pull the trigger or do you hold off?
Mhm. Yeah, they have him as a 2026 mid-second, so basically, essentially a 2025 late second. I think I
Mm,
would roll the dice on that late second, to be honest with you. You'd probably even get like a third thrown on top of that at this point, because people might be excited about the New England landing spot. I'm just not. I don't like, if he didn't come off the ACL and he
mm,
had a decent season in Houston, I would be more on board. It's just being 31, coming off an ACL with a brand new team. I'm a little nervous, to be honest. I'm a little more hesitant
yeah,
than you are.
yeah.
Well, that'll be it for the That Bites segment here. Wasn't a very lengthy one, but Rich, I want to ask you your thoughts on Travis Hunter, because last week we didn't get a chance to get your thoughts on him. I know this is somebody you're
Hmm.
very, very excited about, because you and I, we're friends. Obviously, like, I think we like each other pretty decent amount. So we text back and forth about these things. And it seemed like you might be higher on Hal Hunter than most.
It kind of seems that way. I will go on the record and say it. If he were just to be a wide receiver, he would be wide receiver 1 in this class, and I
Mhm.
do not think it's close. I've watched and I've watched and I've watched, and I don't think I see any flaws in his wide receiver game. You know what? Any flaw that I kind of came up with was on the defensive side of the ball. Um, I got my whole notes written down here on him. As you like to say, quick as a hiccup. He's a 4.4 guy. He can make any catch on any route. It's amazing to watch him. He can change
It,
speeds.
mhm.
He can go fast, and then he can go really, really fast, and it's insane, dude. He changed directions. I'd like to use the term like that we know in Philly here, cut on a dime. Um,
Oh,
we
LaShawn
know that
McCoy,
very
good one.
well from LaShawn
Yeah.
McCoy. His burst, acceleration, and it just had change speeds, and he gets open, dude. It's really fun to watch him for now when he's not on the New York Giants. Um, he's just a guy that I'm like, his athleticism is like freak athleticism, and that takes me to his the dislikes. He's thin, obviously, but that's nothing you can't change. And he's just like he's a raw cornerback. I think he just gets away with um,
He's an
his
instinctual corner.
athleticism.
Hmm.
Yeah, like he's just freak athleticism. His freak athleticism leads him to be, not get screwed over on the defensive side of the ball. Um, but as far as the offensive side of the ball, dude, he is
Yeah.
something else.
I think so. Believe it or not, like I mentioned, we talked about it. He was the consensus, all three of us last week, Dustin, SC, myself. If he
Okay.
did play wide receiver full time, he would be the wide receiver 1 in all of our eyes. And I believe Dustin and I said it. If he were a full time wide receiver, he'd be the 101 over Genty for us as well,
Yeah.
because he's
Uh-huh.
got like a Malik Neighbors upside. He's got like he
I think
he could
he
be
might be better than that, dude.
Yeah, he could, which is fucking insane to think about.
Yeah.
The dude makes some of the most impressive catches I have ever seen. His ball skills are, the best
I got that written down too.
out of this entire class, in my opinion. Some of the most explosive route running, but also has nuance to it as well. I called him the love child of Malik Neighbors and Devontae Smith, just because you got that thin frame like Devontae. You've got the Devontae nuance, but you've got the explosion like Malik Neighbors. You can take it to the house at any point. Can make any kind of defensive back look silly. And I also think because he plays defensive back at a high level, he understands leverages. He understands how to make other corners look silly. Like, imagine doing that to your own. You know what I mean? Like, how could you do that?
And with when I'm saying dislikes on the cornerback side of the ball, he's also a very, very good cornerback. Me saying that does not mean he's not. He just is kind of on press coverage. He's not as good, but he just knows what the hell he's doing on that side of the ball. And I don't know if you guys went over this. I seen a tweet and I wrote it down last week before I completely forgot about Atlantic City. I wanted to talk about T. Higgins is the 9th highest paid wide receiver at 4 years, 115. Derek Stingley is the highest paid cornerback at 3 years, 90.
Yeah.
So the 9th highest paid wide receiver is 115, and the highest paid cornerback is 90. So if he's got a decision he wants to make, and it's based on money, I mean, I think we know where he's going to lead.
Yeah. Do you think he's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft?
Yeah.
Yeah. So do I. Yeah, for sure. Last thing, his dynasty value. His dynasty rookie pick value, not knowing where he's going to be playing in the NFL, obviously is going to make us hesitant. I said last week, once Roger Goodell comes on the stage and says the X team is selecting wide receiver Travis Hunter, or is it cornerback Travis Hunter of Colorado? It'll be very interesting to see what Goodell says. Yeah. What does he say when he gets selected, right? Where do you think you would be comfortable taking him in your rookie drafts?
I would, like you said, you would take him 101 if he was wide receiver. I think he's probably going to go 5 or 6.
Okay, because right now I've seen him at the back end of the first. I think the earliest I've seen him is like the 1-8, 1.
You think people are scared off by the cornerback?
Yeah, I think I'm scared. I'm scared of it too, to be honest with you. I want to see it. It's crazy because if we see it and it explodes, you're never going to be able to fucking get him cheaper than you are right now, right?
Right.
You're never going to be able to get him for the price range. I just if he ends up playing 70% corner and 30% wide receiver, we're fucked. You know what I mean? Not fucked,
right?
But it's not as great as if it was even flipped the other way.
That's going to screw you up, Mr. Commissioner. So, say someone in our league gets him and he plays both ways. Are we getting a running clock of points?
Yeah. So it's not going to screw up anything. So in IDP leagues, is what Rich is mentioning, is our home league is an IDP league. Say for instance, he is a wide receiver, right? In our league, if you look, if a ball's picked off and the wide receiver makes a tackle, makes a tackle and strips the ball, guess who gets those points? That wide receiver who made that tackle and stripped the ball. So those points are still going to be accumulated for Travis Hunter in our league, whether he plays wide receiver or defense. So
I'm saying, so say he catches a touchdown, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get the 6. Mm-hmm. And then he comes back and get back out and grabs an interception. Just turns around and just plays defense. Are we getting 6? Yes, is he getting?
That's exactly how I'm explaining it. Yes.
Okay. Well, you're explaining it as a tackle. Explain it interception, so it would make more sense.
So he would get the points for playing on defense, whatever he does. Okay. He gets the points for playing on offense, whatever he does, whether that's an offensive play or a defensive play on offense.
Okay.
If the ball is off and he gets a tackle, that's still accumulated points in our league.
Sure.
So if Mike Evans tackles somebody, he gets those however many points it is for a solo tackle. So you're still accumulating points whether he plays wide receiver or defense. Travis Hunter is what I'm saying.
No, I was thinking more or less you would decide, okay, he can't count as both because he can't go out there and catch touchdowns and get interceptions. He's going to wind up scoring like fucking 70 points a game if he does.
Yeah, he could.
Imagine he ends a game with two picks, two picks and 2 touchdowns. Dude,
He's
it's like,
ruining
fuck.
somebody's week.
God damn it.
Listen, for IDP purposes, he would be. It's hard to say a corner is the 1-1.
Yeah, because they suck at fucking IDP.
Yeah, so it's like that's a real gamble still. But like at the 1-2, 1-3, I'd probably still do it. I'd even still consider it the 1-1, even if he, because he's still going to get you. If he plays wide receiver and gets you 3 catches, 30 yards, and has a couple tackles, it's still solid, outing, right? So I'm still interested on him there. But Rich, now that we have your thoughts on the Travis Hunter discussion, let's talk about your first buys and your first buy. Who do you have?
Bye.
Yeah, let's pull up the banner here. Rich's buy. There we go. The ticker at the bottom.
Couldn't put an S on the bottom of that fucking Y here.
What's that?
Couldn't put an S next to that fucking Y?
No, because I'm going to hit it every time.
Rich's buy. Okay. No, he's not. He's not.
Shut up. Go ahead.
Married to a woman. So this was before Mr. Unlimited. I have Jalen Hyatt. I was buying Jalen Hyatt. I don't even have any notes on him because I don't want to friggin' talk about him. Never mind. To throw out that because it's going to be Russell Wilson. I thought he was going to get 1 million targets because Jameis Winston likes to throw the ball all over the place. So in my mind, I was like, wow, Malik Neighbors is going to get 1,000, targets. Jalen Hyatt's maybe going to get 500. But now that's all down the tubes in the manner of the week. So don't prepare early and just prepare as soon as you're about to go on because Jalen Hyatt is now irrelevant.
Well, to me, to be honest with you, I hate to tell you that I was ready to go to war with you over this one because
really
irrelevant to me no matter what because he's obviously Malik Neighbors is the 1. Wan'Dale's the 2. They just fucking paid Sterling Shepard. Sterling Shepard's a much better wide receiver than
I don't know, man. He's only in his year 2 over here.
He sucks. I did not like his Tennessee film at all. He was not even close to Cedric Tillman, in my opinion. They both came out the same year. Jalen Hyatt is like run down the field and maybe he catches it, maybe he doesn't. I would have no.
Watch him take off with Russell Wilson. It's gonna be like, what the fuck is going on here?
So obviously with Jameis, all bets are off when Jameis is the quarterback, right? Like you could have been right. He could have been like the year 3 breakout Jalen Hyatt, but like you thought it was possible he was going to outdo Wan'Dale, he was going to outdo Sterling. Obviously not Malik Neighbors, but you thought he would outpace or outproduce both Wan'Dale and Sterling because Wan'Dale to me would have been the perfect buy.
I mean, I guess Wan'Dale, he's a nice player. I thought they would have kind of put more into Hyatt just because he's such a young receiver at coming out in year 3. The money doesn't make any sense to me for Shepard. They wouldn't pay Saquon, but they're going to pay him. So that the contract really doesn't hinder me away from putting him in there. And I wanted to think outside of the box.
Yeah, you obviously definitely did. And I was like, the fact that you threw it out, I'm happy because like I was ready. I even put him in the thumbnail because I wanted people to be like, why the fuck is Jalen Hyatt on this? Like, why are we talking about Jalen Hyatt? I would take every single wide receiver in this class over Jalen Hyatt. And I'm talking the ones I don't even like Savion Williams. I would take him. I just like there's no substance for me with Jalen Hyatt. Like I get where you're coming from because like Jameis is going to throw it 500 times. Well, we thought, but yeah, I would have rather paid a little bit extra. Yeah, I would have paid a little bit extra for Wan'Dale over Jalen Hyatt. But that will lead me into my first buy. My first.
Yeah, no, you're buying.
We're going to go with my cheaper one first. Probably the cheapest of the 3. And, I wouldn't even say this is super cheap. My first one is going to be Jacoby Myers, wide receiver for the Las Vegas Raiders. I almost said I'm going to keep almost screwing it up and say Oakland every single time. So it is what it is. My first one for him is definitely going to be Jacoby. So the past 4 years, wide receiver 30, wide receiver 28, wide receiver 24, wide receiver 19. So he's steadily improved every single year with garbage quarterbacks. Let's be honest. Mac Jones for a year or 2 years.
Mhm.
You had Gardner Minshew and O'Connell in Vegas. He's still producing at a very decent level. Got a QB upgrade with Geno Smith. Can't deny that. He's better than what he's played with these past several years.
Aiden O'Connell's a damn good quarterback.
Yeah, you're just saying that because you look like him. But and he also gets an upgrade in Pete Carroll as well. I think this is a very exciting time for Jacoby Myers owners. He's a guy who is like I said, essentially a wide receiver 2 these past couple of years. Back end, middle of the pack wide receiver 3, and then an early wide receiver 3 in 21 and 22, and then 23 and 24 he was a wide receiver 2. So he's just been a consistent improvement every single year. Some trades I've seen for him: 211 for the Jacoby Myers. Give me Myers in that instance, especially if I'm trying to win now. He's a guy who could play as your flex wide receiver 3 if you have to, injuries and stuff like that. 205 for Myers and the 412. That one gets a little bit more expensive, but I still think if I'm winning now, I'm still willing to roll the dice on him. I think he's a little bit of a safer pick than what you're going to get at the 205 trying to win right now. And then you have this one. This one's tough. Is the 201 for Myers and the 305. Now, that might sound crazy, but I actually kind of like that deal because you're still going to get a solid rookie picks. These third-round picks, we've done some mocks recently where these third rounds have been pretty nice values, like your RJ Harveys, your Brashard Smiths, your tight ends. You know, all the tight ends are almost going in the third round besides like Warren and Loveland. So that's exciting. So for me, I like Myers in all of those deals, especially with the upgrades that they have. And even if the Raiders, I don't think the Raiders invest in a wide receiver early. I don't think that happens. Maybe they will in the third round. I still think Myers with whoever it is and Brock Bowers is still going to be a nice target for Geno Smith. I'm very excited for this. What do you think of Myers?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about him because I think I released him like, was it the last season or the season before? So seeing him as a buy kind of is a kick in the nards. But yeah, I think he's going to be, I guess, the wide receiver 1 there. I mean, there's nothing,
Bowers
no
is
one
the
really.
one, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you're going, traditional wide receiver, but
Right.
Bowers is going to get all the targets. But he has been steadily improving. And like you said, I don't think they go wide receiver too early in the draft. So I think he could eat the season.
Yeah, I think so too. Who's your next one, Rich?
All right, so I'm going to throw you through a loop here, and this is kind of like a twofer. I got a 2-for-1 here. That's going to be Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson.
A
So they're
combo
my
dude.
yeah.
This is your second and third buy?
They're my second and third because it was like I was putting them down, and I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, again, that evil goblin is gone in New York, and Justin Fields is there. Thank God. I think, dude, he's going to have a resurgence. I think he's finally, he played all right in Pittsburgh. I think he goes into New York. This is his job. Fields and Wilson played together in 19 and 20 at Ohio State. Wilson's freshman year, he had 14 games, 30 receptions for 432. Not fantastic. And 5 touchdowns. Yeah. Sophomore year, he only played 8 games, 43 receptions in 8 games, and 723 yards, 6 TDs.
This is with Fields?
Yeah, and why do I tell you this? Is because this shows camaraderie between each other. You know what I mean? It shows that a familiarity. I can't say that word.
I hate
familiarity.
That word. Yeah.
There we go. With each other, and it kind of is like the opposite of what was happening last year with Wilson. You know what I mean? Wilson was in a lot of guys' top 8 wide receivers in Dynasty before Rodgers. So now it's like kind of like he's getting his guy almost, a guy he's comfortable with. I'm sure one of his friends. You know what I mean? So I think it's going to be wheels up for both of them.
Yeah, I think both of them, more or less, Wilson has become a value at this point. Obviously, you mentioned it a few minutes ago. He was in a lot of people's top, 5 even wide receivers up until this past 2 years. Now on Keep Trade Cut, he's the wide receiver 13. Yeah, he's falling behind Lant McConkey, which you've got way more upside with Garrett Wilson. You have a lot more safety and Ladd, so that's tough. And then you got him going after, so Ladd, Trey McBride, Bo Nix. So some of those kind of make sense, especially in tight end premium. But then he's going ahead of Jordan Love, AJ Brown, Devon Achane. Wilson, I'm probably taking over Jordan Love, and depending on my build, I might take him over AJ Brown, and then Achane, we'll get to him shortly. But I would take Wilson over Achane as well. I really like this pick by you. You're getting the double stack, the Wendy's double stack here with Justin Fields, and you hate Wendy's. That should have actually been another intro thing for you,
dude. We're gonna get me off a tangent. I've grown up, dude. I like Wendy's now.
Oh, do you?
I get Wendy's so goddamn much. Can't tell.
You big Baconator guy?
They change their fries. They're always hot now. I'm like, fucking burning my mouth.
All right. Well, there's your Wendy's take by Rich. But yeah, I'm very excited.
Wendy's.
I'm very excited to see this duo together, Fields and Wilson. I do think this is a very good pick by you. Now I got to go back to back since you just went.
Sorry.
Yeah, thanks a lot. My next one is a guy I kind of mentioned a few weeks ago in our tight end rankings episode. That's going to be tight end David Njoku for the Cleveland Browns. Just to go over some things with David Njoku. Where is it at? He's played 18 games without Deshaun Watson in his career these past 2 seasons. Between sporadic injuries for Watson, sporadic injuries for Njoku. He's over 1,000 yards. He's over 10 touchdowns. What does that tell you? Any fucking quarterback who's not Deshaun Watson's dude is eating, right? And right now, Adam Schefter has said the Cleveland Browns will have a new QB in 2025, whether that's Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders, whether they trade for Kirk Cousins. The new rumor today is, I don't know if you saw this, they're possibly going to trade for Dak Prescott. When that happens, that is major wheels up for David Njoku.
Could be Kenny Pickett.
No. Don't even put that negativity in the fucking Super Bowl winner, Kenny Pickett, by the way.
Dude, I got him on my bench. I'm trying to get a trade going, so it could be him.
I'm very excited for Njoku, that with any quarterback that's not Watson, kind of like I mentioned. This is a dude who's like, he's banged up every year, but also plays for these things. 2 years ago, this dude's face almost got melted off and still played, which is insane to think about, right? Like,
just a flesh wound.
Literally, he was fucking terrified. Like, I saw that story. I'm like, there's no way he's playing this. And then he shows up. I'm like, oh, man. And he's, freak athlete, a guy who is just, a dude that should have been good for a long time. It's just he was on the Cleveland Browns and he had Deshaun Watson at quarterback. Like, I can't stress enough that this could be, the top 5 year for David Njoku. And if you could get him for the prices that I'm seeing with these, second round picks, I'm all in, like a mid-second. I'm all in on getting Njoku, especially in tight end premium, because I'm going to get him now before the price goes up, especially with a new quarterback incoming, no matter who it is. I'm still interested. I've seen Josh Downs for David Njoku. Who do you prefer there?
I'm tight end premium Njoku.
Yeah, same here. Dontavian Wicks and Jalen Coker for David Njoku.
David Njoku. Because that means Dontavian Wicks is like, who's number one there? No one knows.
No one knows. I don't even know. Half point tight end premium. This one's a little interesting. Xavier Worthy for David Njoku and the 205.
Ooh, I liked Njoku because of the
205
draft pick kicker.
Yeah. Especially it still has a half point premium there, so that's interesting.
Yeah, that's true. Plus the pick is like makes me interested. It intrigues me.
That one I wouldn't have been mad if you went either way, because I still think Xavier Worthy is, a very talented.
Well, I think he takes a dip with Rashee Rice coming back.
Well, if he does, because we still don't know if Rashee Rice is going to be suspended or not.
I thought I read that the case got thrown out or something, but I don't know.
Maybe I might have
Could
missed
have.
that.
Who knows?
But I think Njoku right now is a screaming buy, and I'm very excited to see how that plays out. My last buy is the one where you're going to have to be spending up a little bit. His price is still pretty cheap for the talent that I think he is, but I think now is the time to get in before it really hits its peak. And that's going to be Roma Dunze, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Everyone gets an upgrade with Ben Johnson as the head football coach. Even if it's a hypothetical thought process that he, all sales ahead or whatever the slogan is or whatever. Everyone gets an upgrade with Ben Johnson. Not only him, they've upgraded this offensive line. They made
They got like 4 new offensive linemen, 3 or 4 new offensive linemen.
And like one of them is a former All-Pro from Kansas City, Joe Thuney. So it's like they've made some very impressive moves, right? And I think, I'm talking about the offensive line, but what does the offensive line have to do with Roma Dunze? Well, it fucking gives Caleb Williams more time in the pocket to make plays, to go to his, top 15 wide receiver pick last year in Roma.
He was
Dunze.
sacked like 64 times last year, dude. So,
which some of that's on him, but like, the more protection, the better for Caleb Williams, and the better for this offense, and the better for Roma Dunze, because they drafted him that high for a reason. Everyone wants to talk about how big and fluid mover that Ted McMillan is, but Roma Dunze, steals this dude's lunch money. This dude is he does.
Now
he was a contested catch monster his last year in college. This is a guy who can run every single route as well. Can separate a better route runner than Ted McMillan, in my opinion. Obviously, he's smaller than Ted because Ted's 6'5", whatever, runs, I think 6'3", 6'4". So obviously smaller, but like Roma Dunze is a fucking dog, man. And I cannot wait for this this price to hit. So I just made a trade recently. Tell me what you think. And this is actually going to play in one of my sells later on. I traded, hold on, we have a comment here. Oh, I'll get to that in a second. I traded the AJ Brown and Devon Achane, right, for pick 102 in a super flex.
Say it again. I'm sorry.
AJ Brown and Devon Achane for the 102, Roma Dunze, and the 205.
And the 102 is intriguing.
It is very intriguing. So the way I broke it down is, and I don't want to give too much away, but the 102 for Achane is a wash. Like, I think that's essentially even. And then Roma Dunze and the 205 for AJ Brown, in the way my team is currently constructed, Roma Dunze is the better option for my team right now, right? So I was thrilled with this move. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm taking the Roma Dunze side in the 102.
Yeah, that's the way I got it.
Because I want the 102.
So we got 2 questions here by SC. We'll start with this one. Whose value do you have higher for 2025, though? Roma Dunze or DJM? I honestly think it's going to be a Dunze. From what we were seeing last year with him and Caleb Williams, I think Caleb Williams wants to get Roma Dunze more involved. I think he wants him to be the wide receiver one on this football team. I think DJ Moore is a very, very good wide receiver, right? And I'm not taking away one of the most consistent dudes. I went and we have a whole video cut up somewhere about how much we both love DJ Moore, right? We've talked about
Philadelphia guy.
Yeah, Philly guy. Roma Dunze has a higher upside than DJ Moore, in my opinion. I think Dunze has top 10 upside, while DJ Moore is top 15 to 17, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm going to take the guy who I think is a little bit higher upside and can run every single route, bigger body wide receiver. It's just going to be very interesting to see what they do. What do you think on that?
I think I'm on the opposite. I think I'm taking DJ Moore just because I think his bill of work. He's been kind of screwed with quarterbacks up until this coming season, because Caleb Williams last season was kind of like like I said, he got sacked 60+ times. So I
Mhm.
think this season now he has Joe Tooney and crew who they got. One guy from the Chargers. I forget the other two that they got, but they came in. Ben Johnson came in and said, "This offensive line fucking stinks. We're going to bring an offensive line in for him." So I think both of them eat, but I think DJ Moore is going to be the one in that offense. I think Doomsday is going to be the two.
Well, I mean, I think the capable
It's not.
quarterback.
Yeah,
The capable quarterback. I think Caleb can feed both these dudes, in my opinion.
it's going to be. It's kind of like what we see here. With 1A and 1B with AJ and
I like
Devontae
that.
Smith.
Yeah. To answer SC's question here, who would you hope to draft at the 102? Well, SC, come on now, bro. You know it's Omari and Hampton. I think, we talked about this. Omari and Hampton is the second best running back in this class. Would I take him over Devon Achane? Absolutely, because I think Omari and Hampton has.
You're taking Hampton over Cam Ward?
Depends on the team build.
Whew.
Yeah.
That's a spicy
right
meatball.
now I'm taking Hampton over Ward. Right now. We'll see how
that's saying Genty goes 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Hampton would be 3 for me. But again, this all plays out how, if the NFL draft. After the NFL draft, it could completely flip on its head for me. Like somehow if Omari and Hampton falls into like the 5th round, then it's like, fuck. You know what I mean? So with Omari and Hampton, I think he's got a 3-down skill set. Can run between the tackles, he's okay on running to the outside. I don't think that's his skill set, but a power runner, can catch the ball. And I think he's much more a 3-down back than Devon Achane is. So that's why I was comfortable moving Devon Achane essentially for the 102. Let's get into our sells here first. Now that I've been talking for so damn long, Rich, who is your first sell?
You really got to ask me?
Whom is it?
That's going to be me. Kyle Pitts, dude. Kyle Pitts. Oh my God, I'm selling for a sack of marbles. Since his rookie year, his production has gone down significantly. 21, he had 1026 yards. Not counting 2022 because he missed a handful of games. I think he played 10 games for 356. Then 2023 he had 667 yards, and then 24 he had 602. So he played 17 games. 3 out of the 4 years. So he is going down every single year since his rookie year. And every single year I hear, he's going to take off. This is Kyle Pitts year. This is Kyle Pitts year. He just needs a quarterback. He just needs this. His offense stinks. Dude, I'm done. I can't hold on to him anymore. Let someone else hold out the hope. Let someone else hold their breath on it. I can't do it. Get rid of him. Cut bait.
I think a lot of people feel the same way as you do, and as do I. I think it's time to move on. I don't really even know what you can kind of get for him at this point. I think an early second is the best case scenario at this point in time.
But at that dude, in tight end premium, dude, with all these tight ends coming out this year, you'll be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. I agree with that one. I think it is time to move on from Kyle Pitts. Honestly, it should have been a few years ago when his value was at its absolute peak, right?
Yeah.
My first sell shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. Actually, believe it or not, every single one of these running backs or every single one of these sells for me is a running back. And I'm going to go with the most obvious one here for me, and that's going to be Isaiah Pacheco, running back for the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this dude has the most unsafest job in the NFL right now. I think whether they bring in somebody in the draft early, they're going to draft somebody. Kareem Hunt has outproduced him in every single game at the this season when Pacheco was healthy. Pacheco came back weeks 13 through 17. He was running back 45 at 58 points per game. Kareem Hunt running back 35 at 42 points per game. In the playoffs, Pacheco 13 carries, 37 yards, 3 receptions, 17 yards. Kareem Hunt 28 carries, 117 yards, 2 TDs, 3 receptions for 13 yards. If you're getting outproduced by Kareem Hunt at this point in your career, you might as well call it curtains. I think for the past few years, we've been saying Pacheco has, been a sell because of the draft capital. We weren't sure if he was going to be the guy going forward. But I think this is essentially the nail in the coffin for him. The Chiefs need to bring in somebody else, and Kareem Hunt outproduced him. I think this is it for him, unfortunately.
Yeah, that sucks. It sucks because he had such promise.
He did. Let's go into your next sell, Rich. Who is it?
All right, so while we're on the tight ends who aren't producing, I got Travis Kelce, dude. From 2022, his production has obviously gone down in a steady decline. 2022, he had 1,338 yards, 12 TDs. 23, he had 984 with 5 TDs. In 2024, dude, he had 823 with 3 TDs. He's getting older, and now it's kind of seeming like every year it's like, well, is he coming back? Well, is he coming back? Is he coming back? And you know what? I don't see it turning around. He's gone down steadily every single year. You know what? It's time to kind of write him off, I think, at this point. Unfortunately, because he used to be the best tight end in the game, but now it's kind of not that way. Not at all.
Yeah, I mean, I really thought Evan Ingram was going to end up there, and he would have been the heir apparent for Travis Kelce. He did end up going into the AFC West as well. So I agree with you. I agree. I think it's time. What do you think you could get for him?
Dude, at these points, it's like these guys that him and the next guy I have are kind of guys that I thought were going to die on your roster. But now it's kind of like whatever you can get, because I don't, especially with the tight ends that are coming out this year, I think a late 2.
Yeah,
I'd be
probably
okay taking that.
At this point. I think a mid 2, and you might even have to throw like a third or a fourth on top of Kelce to get that mid 2 at this point in his career. I did start to turn around towards the end there, so there is some hope. But there's always that like conversation of, is he going to retire? Does he really need to continue doing this anymore? He's got a podcast. He's got Taylor Swift. So who knows? I do kind of agree with you, and I'm surprised you're going double tight end so far. My next guy is going to be kind of maybe a little bit of a surprise, because this is a team that does like to run the football. He has a wide open room currently. And it's going to be Isaac Guerendo. I can't fucking talk, apparently. My second sell is going to be Isaac Guerendo, running back for the San Francisco 49ers. 4th-round pick last year. Rushed for 420 yards on 84 carries, 4 TDs. He had a nice season when he was able to get the opportunity. Obviously, they had Jordan Mason, who looked pretty good, who got hurt, but they ended up trading him to Minnesota. Christian McCaffrey's leg fell off, and then they just have a bunch of guys, right? Elijah Mitchell is gone now as well. So yes, he's in a wide open room. But let me tell you why I'm out on him currently. So last year, 10 rushes, 99 yards against Seattle. Seattle gave up the 17th most rushing yards in the NFL. That's okay. Not great. 1485, 1 TD versus Dallas. Without Micah Parsons, they were gave up the 4th most rushing yards in the NFL last year. 15 carries, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns versus Chicago. 5th most rushing yards given up in the NFL. 16 carries, 57 yards versus the Rams. The Rams gave up the 11th most rushing yards in football. He beat up on a bunch of bad football rushing teams. Yeah. Right? Which is great.
He did what he was supposed to do.
He did what he was supposed to do, but is it sustainable? Can he do that against, better competition? Because we didn't really get a chance to see it. He's a former 4th-round pick, which is not bad. But in my opinion, if I could sell him for a 3rd right now, because his current value is early to mid 3rd, I would absolutely do it. I like every single running back in that range more than him, whether it's Bashard Smith, RJ Harvey, Damian Martinez. I think all of these guys have, especially Martinez, has more workhorse potential in them than a Guerendo. He's also going ahead of guys like Jalen Wright in that Miami offense. I am not taking Guerendo over Wright. He's going over Marvin Mims. Absolutely not. He's going over Blake Corum. Yeah, Blake Corum, which I'd still rather roll the dice on Blake Corum than I will with Guerendo, even though I was never the biggest Corum guy. Romeo Dobbs, Jalen Coker, Cedric Tillman, every single one of these dudes he's valued around or above. I'm taking every single one of them over Isaac Guerendo. I'm not a believer, and it wouldn't shock me if they bring somebody else in.
Yeah.
Because they're an older team and they need to kind of like get it done now. So it wouldn't shock me if they bring in somebody that takes his job, like a Bashal Tootin, RJ Harvey, like all those guys fit, and all those guys are better than Guerendo, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you fucking nailed it, and it leads me into mine, which is Christian McCaffrey. So it's the whole damn running back room in San Francisco. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey, again, a guy that I thought was going to live on my bench until he retired. But he's kind of a guy that last year, he was fine, and then all the, you're going to fantasy draft parties, everyone's taking Christian McCaffrey. Week 1, he's hurt, and then he just misses
not even like was he hurt? It was just like surprise right before the game's about to start. He's not playing.
So yeah, and it's like, what the fuck is going on? That's kind of like a huge turnoff with him. But I just kind of see him reverting back to his old self. But my main reason for selling him is because I think, San Francisco's cleared out the room. They got rid of Debo. They're going to get rid of Ayuk eventually. I think you could kind of get a lucrative draft pick because people are going to say, well, what else do they have? My reasoning is I think he's injury riddled, but people could say, hey, they got nothing else, so maybe I could get something out of him. So it could work out for both sides, but I just don't see him reverting back to, the way he was in 23.
Yeah, I could absolutely see that. I do think you're really beating up on the older players this episode, man. You're really like taking take away their driver's licenses.
Hey, to quote the great Brock Lesnar, "Party's over, Grandpa. It's time. Get them out."
Damn it. Now I'm fucked up. I'm going to make it a trifecta of getting rid of the running backs because of this draft class. My next one, if you listen to the top 12 Dynasty running back episode that we did a few weeks ago, you will know that I'm not necessarily into this player. Obviously, he's in my top 12, but because of his upside. But I'm very concerned about this player going forward, and that's going to be Devon Achane. Obviously, he's got some injury history, but my biggest concern for him is the fact that when he's healthy and Tua is not, he is a borderline flex option at best. He puts up points per game of 8.8, 5.9, 2.7, 10.5, 5.8, and 18.10. Those things are not going to get it done, especially for the prices that you're paying for him currently. His value right now is at the 102, which is essentially what I just sold him for.
Who did you? I'm sorry, Mike. I'm getting text messages ringing in my ear. Who did you say?
Devon Achane.
Okay, it keeps going bing, bing, bing in my headphones. I'm like,
so Devon Achane was my sell, and the reason why is because like the 102, I'd rather re-roll that into an Omarion Hampton. His value is around the same as a 103, like a Cam Ward or Travion Henderson. I would much rather have any of those players over Devon Achane.
You can get 102. I think that's just high as shit. 102 for Devon Achane, dude. I'm taking 102 every time.
That's what his current dynasty value is. I'd rather go with somebody who,
absolutely,
whether it's Cam Ward or running back, that I have more faith in going forward than Devon Achane. Because, like I said, he's the type of dude that could win you a week. He could put you up 50 points, but like, one, he has to be on the field, and two, Tua has to be on the field. So, like, I don't want to have to bet on two fucking things happening for you to really break out, right? Like, that's concerning to me in of itself. But, Rich, we've had enough of, dumping on people now that we just talked about ourselves. Let's talk about two players that are coming into the NFL draft this year. We are going to start with, I think this is a your guy at this point.
Yeah.
This is – a guy that you wanted to talk about and break down. And I know you're excited to talk about. Hold on, let me set up the graphics here. Add to the stage. We're going to talk first about Terrence Ferguson. This is a card created by Rich. Rich, tell us about Travis Ferguson and how tell people how you did this, because this shit drives me insane.
Just a lot of clicking. I just click trial and error, man. That's all it is. If I got a couple minutes of time of silence, I could just click around and see what I come up with. And that's what I came up with. Really a guy that like I said, this tight end class is so deep. and I like to go down the board and see what kind of guys you can get later on. It's not going to be the top the 1 and 2 guys, but he's an under the radar guard guy just because he wasn't getting the ball as much as the guys like Warren and Loveland were. Like he wasn't seeing the ball as much as them, but he's as athletic as they are, in my opinion. Um, let's see, strong frame. I think he's built for the NFL.
Yeah,
Lines up all over the
was
field.
his size?
6'5", 243.
I'll pull it up the front page. I thought you had it there with you. Hold on, I'll pull up the
Nah, sorry.
So it's 6'5",
6'5", 243. He lines up a lot all over the field. He almost kind of plays like the wide receiver role sometimes. He's got elite strength to make contested catches, but he needs to work on his contested catches. So he has the strength there to make the catches. I feel like he's kind of like a raw talent that needs to be, worked with just because of his exposure. He didn't get the ball as much. Just because the offense they ran at Oregon, he didn't see it that much. But dislikes, you could see there's a clunky runner, not very quick, although it's good for his size, if that makes any sense. He's a big motherfucker, trucking down the field. Not a great blocker, which is something that we have, and you'll see is a common theme in every tight end that we've gone over. Every one of them fucking stinks at blocking. And I don't know if that's like a new age tight end thing or
I think he's probably better than what I even gave him credit for in the cons here. But he has the foundations to become a lot better. So I think I think he just needs to get stronger is what I kind of meant by the cons here, which is not a bad thing because he's still a young dude, still can get progressively better. Continue on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that was my last thing. It was like not a great blocker, but like that seems like the theme in this 2025 tight end class because we're going to go over another guy who's also awful at blocking. So he's, like I said, he's kind of an under radar guy. He's not going to be a guy that you're going to see, first day go off the board, second day maybe, but I think he will play a role in the NFL and he'll turn out to be a nice, solid player.
Yeah, I think he could be a guy that goes in like the 3rd round, 4th round of the NFL draft. I've been seeing him in the 3rd round, a lot of dynasty rookie drafts. I think that's pretty good value for him. I do think he's good. He's my tight end 7, right? But like that 6-7 range where he's in, you could interchange both of those players at this point. I could even make a case where he could be 5 for me because right now it's Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm, and then Terrence Ferguson. But that chunk could be easily flip-flopped depending on the draft.
Yeah, I think I had them flipped.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. His film did not show the athletic ability that he showed at the combine, if that makes sense. He looked more clunky to me than like we see it here in the cons. He looked more clunky as a route runner. The drills he looked really crisp and good in, but like I didn't see that on film. I didn't see the speed that he had on film. So maybe he's just a really good like underwear Olympics type of guy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I was thoroughly impressed because like that is not what I saw coming at all. I do, he's got 4 drops, but like for 2024, but I felt very confident in his hands, whether like the drops happen or not. This is a guy, just a reliable target, in my opinion. I think, he could be a decent player at the next level. I don't see him ever breaking like our top 12 dynasty rankings, but I think he could be like 15, 16, maybe 17, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. If like your tight end 2, or even a tight end 1 as a spot starter, I think that's possible. I think he's got the hands for it. I think he's got solid route running for it. It'd be very interesting. And he's got the frame. It's just got to work on his blocking to be an every down kind of guy. So yeah, that is Rich's one of his main players. We'll go with my tight end 4 of the class here next. And that is going to be, and I'm surprised he's not Rich's tight end 1, is because he played for the Miami Hurricanes. That's going to be Elijah Arroyo, 6'6", 250 pounds. This is an NFL frame. Yeah, this is an NFL frame if I've ever seen one. Rich, I tried my hardest to get the videos from the Senior Bowl onto this, and I could not get it up here. But he was a man amongst boys down at the Senior Bowl. So let's get into what we saw, not only that, but on film. You know, you look at the stats here, you don't see a whole lot. 5 receptions, 86 yards, 1 TD.
Mm-hmm.
Again, you see that the next year, 1 reception, 11 yards, 2023. So not a very productive player throughout his college career, which turns a lot of people off. But in fairness, he did have some injuries, which you could also use that as and listen in our cons. I forgot I put it in there. The injury history for him is not great. But again, when he played with Cam Ward, when he had a stable quarterback, 35 receptions, 590 yards, 7 TDs, very solid season for him. Receiving grade of 73.6 for PFF. He had 8 deep catches, which was the upper echelon of the class. 255 yards, which I believe was in the top 6 of the class for this 2025 draft class. Games I watched for him: Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, and Wake Forest. Really not the upper echelon of competition in the ACC.
No,
obviously. I think this dude is an explosive route runner, but he's also manipulative. I don't know if I sent it to you, Rich. I have a route on my phone that he is selling a vertical route. He is just charging at the defensive back, eating up that cushion. The defensive back starts to, backtrack a little bit. He's starting to backtrack. Arroyo throws a jab step in, right? The defender flips his hips. Fucking Arroyo breaks out immediately. And he just completely got the defender confused and bewildered is a good word to use there. So his route running is very impressive in my opinion. Vertical threat, not only a vertical threat, a guy that absolutely destroys the seam in the middle of the field. He's a guy that, can take it to the house at any point. I didn't put Yak in here. I do think his Yak is okay. He's a better in-space Yak guy because he has the speed, like with the vertical threat portion of it, that couldn't take it to the house, but he's not breaking a ton of tackles. Like if he's got an angle on somebody, or if he's got some space, he's a good Yak guy. He's just not really a monster in that.
Like after he gets the ball, he's just kind of like goofy.
I think, his hands are super dependable, and he's got the NFL type frame, but at 6'6", 250. Cons, strength and blocking, I separated them because on film, he didn't really show a whole lot of, in his routes, a lot of physicality, could kind of be pushed around a little bit. But at the Senior Bowl, he showed a little bit more of that, which is impressive because you're going up against players that won you from all over the country, the SEC, the ACC, the Pac-12, the Pac-10, doesn't matter. You're going up against a whole bunch of different competition, and you're showing something that you didn't really show on film. So I was impressed by that, but on his film, a little bit of wishy-washy, and that also goes with his blocking. I definitely think he's going to have to get better at technique, but he's got the frame for it. So I do think that could be something that is improved. And I also think that also has to do with the amount of injuries he's had. He hasn't been on the field all that much, as you could tell by his career stats. So I think the more this dude gets to play, the better he gets. And this is the kind of guy that I could see in that 13 to 15 range dynasty ranks, maybe even a little slightly higher, because he has those game-breaking plays on film. And I'm very excited for Elijah Arroyo. I think he could get second, third round capital. Maybe teams are a little bit more scared off because of the injuries, but again, this is a guy that's going in the third round of rookie draft.
He tore his ACL. What is it? I guess 23. He tore his ACL, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he came back and had a nice season in 2024.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with that. I think this guy could be a tight end one for an NFL team, as opposed to like a Terrence Ferguson. He just I think both these dudes have to work on their blocking, but I have a little bit more faith as a wide receiver. Whoa, hold on there. Get us back. Oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. There we go. We're back at it, guys. But there is our player breakdowns on Terrence Ferguson and Elijah Arroyo. So actually, I forgot to ask you, do you have Ferguson over Arroyo, or do you have it flopped?
No, I have Ferguson. I think what do I have? Loveland, Warren, Fannin. Arroyo, Ferguson.
Okay, so you
Helm?
still have
Yeah.
Arroyo 4 and Ferguson 5.
Mhm.
Because for some reason, the way we were talking pre-show, I thought you were going to have Ferguson at 4, Arroyo at 5. I was kind of surprised. Here you have
No.
it that way. Yeah, for me, it's Warren, Loveland, Warren, Fannin, Loveland, Arroyo, Mason Taylor, Gunnar Helm, Terrence Ferguson. But again, that 5 through 7 could be easily flipped
Yeah.
for me. I really like Gunnar Helm. Like, he had a really bad combine because he fucked his ankle up. We talked
Idiot.
about that briefly. Yeah, should have probably just gave that one
Told
up.
someone?
Yeah,
You probably just told someone.
kind of like
would've.
what Xavier Restrepo probably should have done too, instead of running a 4.8 40. Like, maybe you should be like, yeah, it's cool to go balls out, but like, you're risking a whole lot. You're risking a lot of bread.
Yeah.
Fucking that up.
Mm-hmm.
But there you have it on our rookie profiles. These are two guys Rich and I are very excited for our dynasty rosters. Both these guys right now in the 3rd round of your rookie draft. So, if you're drafting before the NFL draft and both these guys end up going in the 2nd round, and you draft them in the 3rd, you should be pretty fucking happy with that, right?
Yes, sir.
So, Rich, you got any final thoughts before we let you go?
I don't.
No? All right. Well, we will be back next week in the doghouse, brought to you by the FFU, and you guys have a great night.
Peace.